$1 million. That is the price tag publishers are reportedly willing to pay for Jessica Mulroney to finally break her silence and expose everything she knows about Meghan Markle. After 5 years of watching her former best friend parade around Hollywood playing the victim, after 5 years of cryptic Instagram posts and carefully bitten tongues, the woman who once guarded Meghan's deepest secrets is now sitting on a goldmine of information that could obliterate the carefully constructed narrative the Duchess of Sussex has spent years building. And folks, the publishing industry is salivating. Industry sources have confirmed that multiple New York publishers are engaged in what can only be described as a bidding war for Jessica's story. This is not speculation. This is not wishful thinking from royal watchers desperate for drama. Rob Shooter, who has direct connections to major publishing houses, spoke to multiple executives who all confirmed the same thing. If Jessica Mulroney decides to tell the real story of what happened between her and Meghan, she could command an advance that would make most authors weep with envy. The appetite for insider information about Meghan's pre-royal life is absolutely insatiable, and Jessica holds all the cards. Let us be brutally honest about why this matters so much. Jessica Mulroney is not some peripheral figure who glimpsed Meghan at a few parties. This woman helped keep Harry and Meghan's early romance hidden from the world. She was at the absolute center of the royal wedding, her children walking behind the bride at St. George's Chapel. She knows where the bodies are buried, metaphorically speaking, and she has receipts that Meghan desperately wants to remain locked away forever. What makes Jessica's position so uniquely powerful is her strategic patience. Unlike Harry and Meghan, who gave away their most explosive allegations for free during that infamous Oprah interview, Jessica has never done a major tell-all interview. She has never leaked information to tabloids. She has preserved her leverage with the discipline of someone who understands exactly what she possesses. While the Sussexes were busy handing Oprah Winfrey ratings gold without apparently negotiating a proper payday, Jessica was quietly watching, waiting and accumulating even more reasons to eventually speak. The irony is absolutely staggering when you think about it. Meghan built her entire post-royal brand on being the victim, the woman who was silenced, the truth teller who just wanted her story heard. And now the person who knows her best, who witnessed the real Meghan behind closed doors during those crucial Toronto years, is the one person whose truth could bring the whole facade crashing down. Meghan spent years cultivating an image as a loyal friend, a supportive woman who lifts up other women. Jessica Mulroney's mere existence as a potential author proves what a devastating lie that has been all along. But to understand why Jessica is finally positioned to talk, and why publishers believe now is the moment she might actually do it, we need to examine how Meghan systematically destroyed her closest friendship and left Jessica with absolutely nothing left to protect. Jessica Mulroney was not just another name in Meghan Markle's contact list. She was the architect of Meghan's entire aesthetic during those critical years when a relatively unknown actress was transforming herself into princess material. As a celebrity stylist with impeccable connections in the fashion world, Jessica helped craft the image that would eventually catch a prince's eye. But more than that, she was the vault where Meghan stored her most precious secrets during the Toronto years, when Suits was still her primary claim to fame. The depth of their friendship was on full display at the royal wedding in May of 2018. Jessica's twin sons, Brian and John, served as page boys carrying Meghan's stunning train as she walked toward her future at St. George's Chapel. Her daughter Ivy was a bridesmaid alongside Princess Charlotte herself, a position of honor that signaled to the world exactly how close these two women were. This was not a friendship of convenience. This was, by all appearances, a bond forged in genuine affection and mutual trust. Sources who observed their relationship during those years describe an almost sisterly dynamic. Jessica was the person Meghan turned to for everything from wardrobe crises to emotional support during the roller coaster of dating a prince under intense media scrutiny. When Harry proposed with that stunning 3-stone ring, Meghan did not wait to share the news. She FaceTimed Jessica immediately, wanting her closest friend to share in the joy of the moment. That footage was so precious to Meghan that she proudly included it in her Netflix documentary years later, back when she still wanted the world to see her as someone capable of maintaining deep female friendships. Allow me to translate what that documentary inclusion really meant. Meghan was using Jessica's image to bolster her own reputation as a good friend, as a loyal confidant, as someone women could trust and admire. Jessica was not just in the documentary, she was being deployed as evidence of Meghan's character. The irony of that manipulation becomes absolutely nauseating when you consider what happened next. Royal commentator Tom Sykes has noted that Jessica's eventual fate follows what he calls a classic Meghan pattern. She makes powerful friends quickly, draws them into her inner circle with flattering attention and apparent devotion, and then dumps them at the first sign of trouble. Jessica thought she was different. She thought the years of loyalty, the secrets kept, the support provided during the most stressful period of Meghan's life had earned her permanent status as an exception to whatever rules governed other friendships. According to insiders, she genuinely believed their bond was unbreakable. But Meghan Markle does not do unbreakable bonds. She does useful relationships that serve her purposes until they become inconvenient. And in the summer of 2020, Jessica Mulroney was about to become very, very inconvenient. The summer of 2020 changed everything, and it all started with a social media exchange that spiraled into a full-blown public relations nightmare. Toronto-based lifestyle influencer Sasha Exeter accused Jessica Mulroney of what she termed textbook white privilege after a private conversation about Black Lives Matter went spectacularly wrong. The details that emerged painted an ugly picture, and the court of public opinion delivered its verdict with terrifying speed. Within days, Jessica's carefully constructed career was in ruins. Good Morning America dropped her as a contributor. Her Canadian reality show I Do Redo was canceled immediately. Commercial deals that had taken years to cultivate evaporated overnight. One moment she was a respected celebrity stylist with a thriving media presence, and the next, she was a cautionary tale about the dangers of tone-deaf behavior during a moment of racial reckoning. The cancellation was swift, merciless, and comprehensive. In the immediate aftermath, Jessica publicly defended her friendship with Meghan with touching loyalty. She posted on social media that Meghan was the kindest friend and that she checked up on me every day during the crisis. Let that sink in for a moment. While her entire professional life was crumbling around her while she was being pilloried across social media and losing everything she had worked for, Jessica still took time to publicly vouch for Meghan's character as a supportive friend. She was still protecting the friendship even as her own reputation burned. 6 months later, Jessica shared a photograph of flowers allegedly sent by Meghan, captioning them with the words "luckiest friend" and "thanks MM." On the surface, this seemed to confirm that despite the controversy, despite the public humiliation, the friendship remained intact. Meghan had supposedly stood by her friend when it mattered most, proving all those critics wrong who suggested she was incapable of genuine loyalty. But folks, here is where the story takes a much darker turn. What Jessica was posting publicly, and what was actually happening behind closed doors, were two entirely different things. Sources close to the situation now reveal that Meghan's support was far more performative than substantive. Those daily check-ins Jessica mentioned, they reportedly dried up quickly once it became clear that association with Jessica could damage Meghan's carefully cultivated image as a racial justice advocate. The flowers and the public displays of friendship were allegedly more about Meghan's optics than genuine support for a friend in crisis. The cruelest part of this entire saga is how publicly Jessica continued defending someone who was already in the process of abandoning her. She was still playing the role of loyal friend while Meghan was quietly distancing herself, waiting for the right moment to complete the severance without getting any of the blame on her designer shoes. But behind closed doors, something very different was happening. And Jessica's social media would soon tell the real story of a friendship that was bleeding out. By 2021, the mask had slipped completely, and Jessica Mulroney's Instagram account transformed into a chronicle of betrayal that anyone paying attention could easily decode. Gone were the cheerful posts celebrating her famous friend. In their place emerged a series of cryptic messages that painted a devastating portrait of abandonment and heartbreak. In June of 2021, Jessica posted words that landed like a punch to the gut. Life changes. You lose love, you lose friends, you lose pieces of yourself that you never imagined would be gone. For anyone following the trajectory of her friendship with Meghan, the message could not have been clearer. This was not some generic inspirational quote. This was a woman processing the loss of someone she had trusted completely, someone she had defended publicly even when it cost her, someone who had apparently walked away without looking back. 2 months later, Jessica posted again, and this time the message was even more pointed. It can be lonely having the world's friends distance from you and not even ask how you are. Let us be brutally honest about what that means. Jessica was not describing casual acquaintances drifting away. She was describing being ghosted by people in elevated positions, people whose friendship had felt like protection and privilege, people who could not be bothered to check on her well-being after everything she had sacrificed for them. The post continued into 2022, each one another breadcrumb in a trail of pain that led directly back to Montecito. You are not too sensitive. You are not overreacting. If it hurts you, it hurts you. That particular message reads like a woman who has been gaslit, who has been made to feel that her expectations of basic friendship loyalty were somehow unreasonable. It sounds like someone who trusted the wrong person and paid an enormous price for that misplaced faith. Royal watchers and celebrity commentators began connecting the dots almost immediately. The timing of these posts, their emotional content, and their barely veiled references to powerful friends who disappeared all pointed in one unmistakable direction. Jessica Mulroney was mourning a friendship that Meghan Markle had killed, and she was doing it in the only public way available to someone bound by the unspoken rules of celebrity discretion. What makes these posts so powerful as potential evidence of Meghan's true character is their consistency over years. This was not one angry outburst that could be dismissed as a bad day. This was a sustained pattern of grief and bewilderment from someone who clearly never expected to find herself on the outside of Meghan's inner circle. Jessica thought she was special. She thought she was safe. She thought wrong. Then came the final blow that may have freed Jessica from any remaining obligation to stay silent, and it had nothing to do with Meghan Markle at all. In July of 2024, Jessica Mulroney's world shifted on its axis once again when she and Ben Mulroney announced their separation after 16 years of marriage. The split from the son of a former Canadian Prime Minister represented more than personal heartbreak. It severed what may have been the last tie binding Jessica to diplomatic discretion about her famous former friend. The Mulroney family name carries significant weight in Canadian society and political circles. Remaining married to Ben meant Jessica had reasons beyond personal loyalty to keep certain stories to herself. Family reputation, social standing, and the complex web of relationships that come with marrying into political royalty all created invisible barriers around what Jessica could publicly say. With that marriage ending, those barriers have reportedly dissolved entirely. Ben Mulroney recently made a statement that royal watchers find almost laughable in its transparent spin. He claimed that Jessica and Meghan are on positive terms, a characterization that anyone following the situation knows is almost certainly untrue. The two women have not been seen together in 5 years of zero public interaction, zero social media acknowledgement, zero evidence of any ongoing friendship whatsoever. If that constitutes positive terms in Ben's vocabulary, one has to wonder what negative terms would look like. The evidence of the friendship's demise extends beyond mere absence. When Meghan launched her Netflix cooking and lifestyle show with Love, Jessica Mulroney was nowhere to be found. This is a woman who helped style Meghan for years, who understood her aesthetic better than almost anyone, who would have been an obvious choice for any project celebrating domesticity and female friendship. Her exclusion spoke volumes about the current state of their relationship, which is to say that no relationship exists anymore. Rob Shooter, who has extensively covered this story, offered a devastating assessment. Jessica thought she was the one exception to Meghan's pattern of discarding people, and then he added the words that cut deepest. "You always do you not? When you have got an awful friend." That observation captures something essential about how Meghan operates. She makes you feel special, makes you feel chosen, makes you believe that whatever happened to others could never happen to you because your bond is different, deeper, more real, and then she proves you wrong. What makes Jessica's potential book so valuable to publishers is that she knows things that no one else can reveal, things that Meghan has spent years ensuring would never see the light of day. Publishing industry sources have been remarkably candid about why Jessica Mulroney represents such a valuable acquisition. One executive described her as the one figure who could give a detailed inside account of Meghan's pre-royal life, a period that remains shrouded in mystery despite all the interviews and documentaries the Sussexes have produced. The Toronto years, the transformation from working actress to future duchess, the real personality behind the public image during those crucial formative years. Jessica witnessed it all. She was there during the years surrounding the wedding and the eventual exit from the royal family, periods that Meghan and Harry have attempted to control through their own carefully curated narratives. But their version of events has always been suspiciously one-sided, filled with accusations and grievances, but remarkably light on verifiable details or corroborating witnesses. Jessica could change that equation entirely. She could provide the context, the contradictions, and the uncomfortable truths that the Sussexes have worked so hard to bury. What makes Jessica's silence so remarkable, and therefore so valuable, is how disciplined she has been for half a decade. Unlike Harry and Meghan, who sat down with Oprah Winfrey and handed over bombshell after bombshell, without apparently securing the kind of payday such revelations should command, Jessica has never done a major interview about her friendship. She has never leaked information to tabloids. She has never sold stories or confirmed suspicions, even when doing so might have helped repair her own damaged reputation. Rob Shooter personally spoke to multiple New York publishers, including his own, about the potential market for Jessica's story. The response was unanimous and emphatic. They all confirmed that a tell-all book from Jessica Mulroney could command an advance approaching $1 million. In publishing terms, that is an extraordinary figure for a first-time author, a testament to just how hungry the market is for authentic insider information about Meghan Markle. The financial incentive alone would be enough to tempt most people in Jessica's position. She has experienced professional devastation, personal heartbreak, and the unique pain of being abandoned by someone she trusted completely. A 7-figure book deal would represent not just vindication but practical security. But sources suggest Jessica's motivation goes beyond money. There is a sense that she feels the truth deserves to be told, that Meghan's carefully constructed victim narrative has gone unchallenged for far too long. But Jessica is not the only person watching Meghan's world unravel right now. and the latest disaster suggests the Duchess of Sussex has made powerful enemies who are no longer willing to stay silent. The Kris Jenner birthday party debacle will go down in public relations history as one of the most spectacular self-inflicted wounds in recent celebrity memory. What should have been a simple social appearance at Jeff Bezos' $70 million home turned into a catastrophe that directly contributed to the departure of Meghan's latest public relations chief, Meredith Mayne. And folks, the details are absolutely damning. Kim and Khloe Kardashian took to their podcast to set the record straight, and what they revealed painted Meghan in an absolutely devastating light. According to the Kardashian sisters, they had explicit permission to post photographs from the party. This was not some paparazzi ambush or unauthorized leak. The Sussexes agreed to be photographed, smiled for the cameras, and presumably understood that images would be shared. Then, only after realizing the event coincided with Remembrance Day in the United Kingdom, they allegedly asked for the photos to be deleted. Allow me to translate what happened next. When the photos could not be memory-holed and public criticism erupted over the Sussexes partying while veterans were being honored, someone needed to take the blame, and that someone was not going to be Harry or Meghan. The Kardashians, who had done absolutely nothing wrong, found themselves thrown under the bus by a couple desperate to protect their own image at any cost. The Kardashians' response was characteristically blunt. It was made into something crazy and ridiculous that did not have to be. Those words carry the weight of genuine frustration from women who know exactly how the fame game works and recognize when they are being used as scapegoats. Rob Shooter offered perhaps the most cutting observation about the entire affair. When a Kardashian has the upper moral hand in an argument, you are probably not winning. Let that sink in for a moment. The Kardashians, a family not exactly known for understated behavior, came out of this confrontation looking like the reasonable parties. Meredith Mayne's departure after just 7 months on the job speaks volumes about the impossibility of managing Meghan's public image. This was not some inexperienced newcomer who could not handle the pressure. Mayne was a seasoned professional who presumably took the job believing she could help rehabilitate the Sussex brand. Instead, she found herself caught in the crossfire of yet another avoidable controversy, asked to spin the unspinnable, and apparently decided that no paycheck was worth the professional damage of continued association. This disaster has cost Meghan far more than just one public relations person, and the consequences are still rippling through Hollywood's most exclusive circles. The fallout from the Kardashian disaster has spread far beyond social media embarrassment, and sources confirm that Meghan Markle now faces something far worse than bad press. She faces social exile from the very A-list circles she spent years trying to infiltrate. Jeff Bezos, who generously hosted that fateful party at his palatial home, has reportedly turned on the Sussexes completely. The implications are devastating. Bezos now sponsors the Met Gala, one of the most coveted invitations in the fashion and celebrity world. Sources confirm that Meghan may be effectively banned from attending, frozen out of an event that would have represented the ultimate validation of her fashion icon aspirations. For someone who has built her entire post-royal identity around being embraced by Hollywood royalty, this exclusion represents a public humiliation that no amount of Netflix cooking shows can remedy. But the Met Gala is just the beginning of Meghan's social wilderness. Sources confirm that invitations to the Grammys, the Oscars, and major private parties are no longer forthcoming. The unspoken consensus among entertainment industry power brokers is that Harry and Meghan are simply too risky to have around. Every interaction becomes a potential liability, every photograph a future weapon that might be turned against the host if things go wrong. The pattern has become undeniable to anyone paying attention. Spotify wanted nothing to do with her after the podcast venture collapsed in acrimony and mutual recriminations. Netflix, despite still technically having a relationship with the Sussexes, has shown marked reluctance to greenlight additional projects. Amazon, through Bezos, was seemingly their last hope for A-list acceptance. That door now appears firmly closed. Rob Shooter explained the fundamental problem in terms that leave no room for misinterpretation. They cannot be trusted at all now, not even by A-listers. When anything goes wrong, these two lash out and blame. That assessment captures something essential about why the Hollywood establishment has turned its back on the Sussexes. In an industry built on relationships and discretion, Harry and Meghan have proven themselves incapable of either. The couple who left the royal family expecting to be embraced as Hollywood royalty instead find themselves treated as pariahs, too toxic for the very world they sacrificed everything to join. And Meghan's desperation has forced her to crawl back to unlikely allies who have seen this pattern before. In what can only be described as an admission of complete defeat, Meghan has returned to Sunshine Sachs, the public relations firm that represented her before she became a royal. This retreat to familiar territory comes after top aides Meredith Mayne and James Holt abandoned her within days of each other, leaving her scrambling for anyone willing to manage the ongoing catastrophe of her public image. The return to Sunshine Sachs is particularly telling because it represents a full circle of failure. These are the people who helped manufacture Meghan's original image as the charming, socially conscious actress who captured a prince's heart. They have seen her at her most calculating, understood her methods, and presumably have no illusions about who they are dealing with. That they are willing to take her back suggests either remarkable forgiveness or the kind of professional detachment that comes from viewing clients purely as revenue sources. Rob Shooter has provided fascinating insight into Meghan's operational tactics, and the pattern he describes is chilling in its strategic calculation. She tests her attacks on low-hanging fruit first, using smaller targets to perfect her approach before deploying the same methods against bigger names. Princess Michael of Kent, a minor royal figure with limited public sympathy, served as the testing ground for accusations that would later be leveled at far more significant members of the royal family. The same playbook used against Princess Michael, the same framing of encounters as racially charged slights, the same deployment of unnamed sources and unverifiable claims was subsequently used against senior royals, including accusations that someone within the family expressed concerns about Archie's potential skin color. Whether those accusations are true or false, the tactical progression from small target to large target suggests a deliberate strategy rather than spontaneous truth-telling. Those who have been in Meghan's inner circle, who have witnessed her methods firsthand, all eventually tell the same story. One insider summarized it with devastating simplicity. Loyalty is one-sided. It is loyalty to her. She is not loyal to anybody else. That assessment comes from people who, like Jessica Mulroney, believed they were special, believed they were exceptions, believed their devotion would be reciprocated. They all learned the same painful lesson. Which brings us back to why Jessica Mulroney's book could be the final nail in Meghan's carefully constructed image, and why publishers believe now is finally the moment she might be ready to hammer it home. Jessica Mulroney holds the keys to Meghan Markle's past in a way that no other living person does except perhaps Trevor Engelson, Meghan's first husband, who has maintained his own remarkable silence over the years. She witnessed the Toronto years when Meghan was still becoming the person who would eventually marry a prince. She knows the real story of the early Harry romance, the strategies and calculations that went into capturing royal attention. She has wedding secrets that Meghan has never wanted the public to know. Most importantly, she knows the truth about what really happened to their friendship, and why Meghan abandoned the woman who had stood by her through everything. That story alone, told with the detail and emotional honesty that only Jessica can provide, would be worth every penny of that $1 million advance. It would expose the fundamental cruelty at the heart of how Meghan treats the people closest to her. Jessica is now single, freed from the family obligations that may have previously encouraged discretion. Her marriage to Ben Mulroney is over, and with it any expectation that she maintain diplomatic silence for the sake of political connections or social standing. She is watched as publishers compete for her story, as the world waits for someone to finally provide an authentic insider account of Meghan's true character. The opportunity is there. The motivation is there. The financial incentive is substantial. Trevor Engelson remains the only other person who knows as much as Jessica does about who Meghan really is behind the public performance. Both have remained remarkably quiet throughout years of Sussex drama, watching as Meghan's self-serving narrative went largely unchallenged in the press. But Engelson has moved on with his life, remarried, started a family, and seems content to let that chapter remain closed. Jessica's circumstances are different. Jessica has been publicly humiliated, professionally destroyed, and personally betrayed by someone she loved like a sister. The question at this point is not whether Jessica will eventually write the book. The publishing interest is too strong, the financial incentive too compelling, and the desire for vindication too powerful for this story to remain untold forever. The real question is whether Meghan Markle can survive what comes out when Jessica finally decides to share everything she knows. Do you think Jessica should finally tell her story, or is there any chance this friendship could ever be repaired? Drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next video is waiting, and you will not believe what is coming next.